If they only knew.
If they only knew. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of the Highline Sessions. I am Alina Dorn, your host. And with me today, I have Amanda Banks. I am excited about this conversation. I kind of intuitively knew that we would be here today talking. Didn't know how. Sometimes you get a full body yes about a person. You just get that yes through intuitively, and you don't know how it will play out, but you know that it will be a good thing. So that was a yes. And Amanda was an instant yes. And here we are today. Share a little bit about Amanda. She is a strategist. She is a speaker, as well as a TEDx organizer. And she helps leaders cut through noise and build credibility that lasts. She's a former corporate sales executive. She is a former high performance athlete. And she's seen firsthand how easy it is to chase quick wins, whether it's in sales, business, or branding. Amanda's been recognized among Nashville's top 40 under 40. Very cool. She mentors leaders at Vanderbilt Innovation Center, Wandry Innovation Center, and she curates powerful conversations through her work with TEDx. And she's a very cool lady, and I'm so glad to have her on.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you. Quite the introduction. I feel like that's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's all true.
That it is. And I think that this is going to be an incredible conversation for whoever tunes in now or tunes in the future, because we met in really interesting circumstances.
We did. It feels worth mentioning, right? So Amanda and I met in the ladies' room. That's a start, right? It was in the ladies' room. It was a bathroom break that we both happened to take at the same time while at a summit, the Innovate Summit in Owensboro, Kentucky. And what happened next?
Yeah, so I was introducing you on stage because I was emceeing the event with Herb Lang, which was so much fun. And I needed to know your bio. I wanted to make sure that I introduced you accurately, so I chased you down to the bathroom, and that's how it worked. And now we are sparkly shoe sisters, and we enjoy good conversations. So I'm excited about this one, and hopefully we can deliver some value to the audience through our initial connection in the ladies' room.
Yep, absolutely. That's where it started. Definitely taken out of there and into the real world. And one of the things that appealed to me intuitively about you was this, the no fluff, like the desire for substance and less tolerance for fluff. And that's a frequency that was picked up.
And well, I value that in you as well. It's really interesting. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee. So oftentimes when you think about the South, you think about the kind of the fluff, right? The like kindness and all of that stuff. And I believe that there's a lot of, in kindness, there's directness, right? There's being able to be very clear and concise and keep things moving forward. So it's not necessarily a Southern culture thing. I guess it's just a high performance athlete thing.
I love that. Clear is kind, right? And kindness can sometimes serve as like a shield, a deflection tool to not face something that needs to be faced, and to not name something that needs to be named. And so this, you talk about it, that, the Southern culture, I imagine like pile of sugar, and like, oh, the sweetest. And I think about folks who will give the best feedback and have the nicest things to say. And then, behind closed doors, it's a very different conversation. So that duality is not kind and it's not clear.
Agreed. So here's, let's just jump into it. Like I have a thing about, so in leadership, in business, right? Especially enterprise sales, there's a notion of ghosting people, or there's a notion in not responding back or not making a decision one way or another. And so I was on the receiving end of that as an enterprise sales executive, of like trying to figure out like what's actually going on in this deal. Like, can I either move this thing forward, or does this thing need to just sit back, or like, is this a no-go? And so I think that like strong communication and the ability to actually like effectively communicate direction is super kind, right? Because like that's, to me, especially now in entrepreneurship, like time is of the essence. And it's not that like I'm direct from a sense of like, I want to do this deal, but it's like, tell me where you're at. Like, what's your status? And I found both in enterprise sales, strategic partnerships is another hat that I've worn, but also in entrepreneurship, there's this notion in business of we don't want to hurt feelings, or we don't want to give direction, or we don't want to do something. And to me, it's like super kind to close that loop or close that cycle.
Absolutely. And it builds trust. If you're talking about sales as someone who, often has worn a very skeptical hat, right? I spent many years in corporate finance, then did work in strategic partnerships. So definitely more on the sales side. And there was a strong radar for bull, right? Bullshit. And so when you can smell it, it would definitely turn me away. And the ghosting, I no longer have use for you, and so we don't need to speak anymore. That's a feeling I've encountered back when I worked for enterprise, and in my days as an entrepreneur, I've also, run into as a business owner, folks who had this very utilitarian approach of I don't need you, so I'm out. And so the clarity was not in their words; it was definitely in their actions. And isn't it great when the two align?
Yeah. And you can have like, I think the best meaningful relationships like are open conversations. And here's the reality. Like sometimes we cannot close a loop on something. Like sometimes things need to remain open. But I have just seen, you talk about clear as kind. That's the first thing that came to mind, is like ensuring that in building relationships, like there's effective communication one way or another, and keeping things moving forward.
How else can you keep it moving forward if you don't have trust, right? When trust is knocked out, it's like an artery that's blocked. And then what? And it stops the blood flow, right? Or it stems it, diminishes it. And then there's not much of a deal flow, and there's not much of a relationship when you feel like you're just being used and spat out through the sales machine.
Well, and there's a notion around sales, right? So like, once again, enterprise sales, but now entrepreneur. And as a founder, like we are our own sales leads, right? And there's this like negative connotation sometimes around the sales profession. And I think that it's one of the most service, selfless, self-oriented professions that you can have if you do it the right way, right? Like professional salespeople, in my opinion, are like so relationship oriented and service oriented that all they want to do is serve their clients and keep things moving forward one way or another. And so I think that like, once again, the sales profession has like a total weird rep, because oftentimes we think about this like cringy transactional based relationship. But quite frankly, some of my best relationships and strategic partnerships have been through the lens of the sales oriented approach, because in business, we're trying to make things happen, whether it's serve our clients, whether it's solve problems, it's all of these things, right? But salespeople are like the lifeblood of the organization. And if anything, I think everybody, if done well, right, like everybody has some type of sales oriented approach in the business.
1,000%. I love that you say that. I deeply relate to that. I've always said you're always selling something. So when before I ran this business, Highline Leadership, I worked in corporate finance and transitioned into a partnerships role, strategic partnerships. So revenue-based and product-based partnerships. And that's a transition I made a hard turn. And the general manager of the business was interviewing me and wanted to see my skills. And so he put me in a simulation room to sell. And he asked me that very same question of that someone looking on the outside would ask, well, what does this have to do with the other? Right? Like you were a corporate controller. You were creating you were presenting financials monthly. What relationship does this have? Right. And my answer was very, very clear. That it was very clear, the through line. It's like, we are always selling. And, if I can be in a room with the most brilliant folks in our company, and sometimes including you, but the C-suite, grilling for 2 hours, grilling me, for 2 hours on our financial statements and asking the questions, smart questions, insightful questions. If there's integrity in that and we can have a conversation, we have confidence in our financial statements, in our assumptions that we're making and the projections that we're making, we have an understanding of the business, we have an understanding of trust, we have an understanding of credibility, and that is sales, and we are always selling. And so we went through with the demo and I ended up getting, into that very, very different role, but we are always selling, whether we mean to or not, whether we're in the sales position or not, right? Which is so much overlap in the work that we do with clients.
Yeah. And effective selling is just effective communication and relationship building. Like that's essentially what it is. And so like, I love how you say that, because there is this emphasis now. So like we're on a live show, like there's this emphasis for leaders to become forward facing and things like podcasts and speaking and all of these different things. But you mentioned like what you were doing in finance and then translating that over to strategic partnerships was just effective communication. And then adding to the list of like effective communication in this capacity, which is slightly different, but it's still building on the same skill sets. So some of the things that I get asked from people is like, what are some areas of focus as leaders that we should really dive into? And to me, it's not necessarily just public speaking, but it's effective communication as a whole, because everything trickles down from that.
Oh, absolutely. You have, the big beats are the public beats when you're on stage. I love that you say that, right? Or like the common advice. And I'd love to dig into that with you, sort of the conventional wisdom says, and debunking some of that here. Well, you've got to get on and you've got to be out in public. You've got to post 3 times a week. If you're not doing that. So I'd love to hear the folks that you work with. What do they come to you? What are the narratives that they're hearing?
So oftentimes, if they're in a corporate setting, it's, I need to become more forward facing. And I don't know what that actually means, but I need to get on podcasts, or I need to get on stages, or I need to get in media is one of the things that I hear oftentimes, because I'm in the TEDx Old Hickory ecosystem. It's, I need to get a TED Talk. That is like one of the common things that I hear. In the entrepreneur space, it's very similar. Other than I need to get on podcasts, I need to get on stage to promote my business in a different type of capacity. And so oftentimes it's, hey, we're living in a digital ecosystem where digital presence and influence does matter. We are being told to do these things. We don't really want to do them, but how can we live in this ecosystem with joy and drive results to whether it's their business, corporate business, or entrepreneur leadership business? Different. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, yeah. How could we live authentically? And so, and so let's talk about that. If the person, and you just said something really interesting, like it's the conventional advice that they're given, and it's copy paste advice. It's not customized. It's not taking into account the human that's in front of you. It's taking a formula and a trend, and these are the metrics, and this is what you want. So it's a very formulaic, conventional approach.
Yeah.
That you're likely to get the results that are copy and paste, and they're not for that person. They're not taking into account that person's humanity and persona and what they want. Yep. And so what the word that kept popping up as you're describing this was authenticity.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel authentic, there's going to be an ick factor.
Yep.
And that's going to be the barrier.
Yeah.
So how do you walk through that when you meet a client and they're telling you, they're giving you the old, like, I've got to have a TED Talk. I need to get on. This is what I need.
So oftentimes it's because they think that they need these things because that's what the market is telling them they need versus what they actually want to be doing. So there's this misalignment oftentimes that happens between leaders that are being told what they should be doing versus how they actually want to create and show up, to your point, authentically. So I'll give you, for example, for me, video content, like this one-on-one, like in your face video content where I'm sharing thought leadership is literally like pulling teeth for me to do. Like, I can do it. Will I do it? Probably not. Like, quite frankly, like I probably won't do it. So for me in my process, like I've learned I love written content. I will do interviews. Like I love doing interviews either way. So like either I'm being interviewed or I'm interviewing other people. I love that. And then when it comes to like speaking and like video content, like I will speak if I feel like it delivers value to the audience, not if it's like all about me. So for me to like identify at least those three things, like that unlocks the opportunity for me to show up in a better lens on how I will actually follow through with what I say that I'm going to do. Meaning, I've worked with several leaders that want to build executive presence on LinkedIn. I give them some recommendations. They follow certain things, don't follow other things. And we unlock that, hey, lean into this thing that is working for you because you're actually going to follow through with it and do it. So like, if you're looking at it from like a blueprint of like follow XYZ formula, like it doesn't take into the human nature of your behaviors and what you're actually going to follow up with and do. And like the reason that the greats are the greats is a couple of reasons. One, they follow through with what they say that they're going to do. So deeply disciplined. They post and they show up in specific ways consistently over a long period of time. And they have the resources to actually follow through and support their efforts and what they're looking to accomplish.
So there's an infrastructure as well. That's what we're talking about. There's an infrastructure to support the work itself, right? Because the follow through is so often underestimated, and I love that you're bringing that up. The consistency and the follow through, it takes time and resources. It's one thing to do a thing, right? To do a post, to do an interview, to do a moment of visibility. What is that followed up with, and what is that serving? And
yeah, and you don't have to have teams of people to do this for you. I want to be very clear on that. In fact, one of the people that I work with is the number one. He's the LinkedIn, let me make sure I say this right, the LinkedIn number one management and leadership voice on the entire platform. He's 76 years old, loves writing content and posting, and he's posting it multiple times a day himself. So you don't have to have these huge teams of people, which is oftentimes the perception of producing this type of content. You just have to have a discipline associated to a process and the ability to follow through with what you commit to doing and enjoy doing.
And I love that. And I think that's often so missed. There's a formulaic exercise of what makes sense. Yeah. And then there's what actually brings you joy, what elevates your energy, right? What makes you excited, because that will come through. And then in service of what? Oh, you just said something earlier about, I'm not going on stage to just serve me. If you're going to do that, then just sing in the shower. Well,
I mean, even though I'm a sales oriented individual, like revenue generation in some capacity has been my entire career. But I'm not going to get on stage and sell you a $97 course if I don't even know that it's going to drive or deliver value to you. Like, how do I know that that's going to be the case? So showing up in a room full of people where I don't believe that I can actually deliver value for, what's the point?
It's just some photo op. That's it. Not much else, right?
Like being on camera. So no, like truth be told is like we get the TEDx ecosystem, right? Like you brought up the TEDx organizer stuff. Like I get so many people that want to be on the TEDx Old Hickory stage, but they don't even know why. They don't know why they're doing it or what they're doing it for. Like, why do it?
It comes back to this, what's the point of all of it, right? Yeah. Why are you here? What do you want out of this entire, when all of this is said and done and you look back, what do you want it to have meant? What do you want it to have impacted? And if you have that answer for yourself, then that's a wonderful start. And then if you have the answer of, well, this is what I love doing. Like I love writing on Substack, like love it. I love recording audio of my Substack articles. Well, that's something juicy.
Well, and like, what are you learning from it? So like, I also look at everything from a perspective of learning. So one of the reasons I hosted a LinkedIn live show for a little over a year, and I've done a lot of media work. And the question becomes is like, what am I learning? It's how am I serving and how am I helping amplify other voices? But it's also like, what are the skill sets that as a leader, I need to learn how to harness for myself and become more effective in? And like communication, being on camera, interviewing other people, learning their stories, like that to me is super valuable. And it's kind of like a golf swing. Like if you don't keep practicing over and over and over, communication is one of those things, in my opinion, that you never actually get to the pinnacle of. Like it's a continuous learning and development journey. So for me, doing interviews, learning people's stories, building relationships, like that was a super valuable experience that in turn made me a much better communicator. So like these things can teach you great tools, and that can be part of the point.
The learning along the way.
Learning along the way.
So I'm curious, what were some of your most notable learnings from having done the live show for a year and a half? That's a long time.
So it is a long time. So I learned, I had a big phobia of cameras. So this goes back to my gymnastics days. I have never been a fan of being on video or camera, but truth be told, like in post-COVID world, like this is part of what we do as regular human beings, is live streams or Zoom calls. And that to me was like figuring out a way to become more effective in this type of environment and trying to drive results or intentional conversations with other amazing people. And it's a skill set that had to be developed. And I had to get over this weird phobia of being on a camera. It's not a natural behavior for me. So like being on film or in front of a video, like it's just not normal behavior. So I recognized that this was a great way for me to learn those skills and also to stay disciplined around those skills, because I won't let other people down. So if I'm interviewing other people as part of the show, I learned that I will stay consistent with continuing to build that muscle if I had another person that I was interviewing, because I won't let them down. Now, if I was going to do it myself, like I would totally just cancel the episode probably. But
that's it.
That's the piece that I learned,
love that.
Behaviors of like, how do I manage my own craziness to get over that fear of cameras and to become a more effective communicator with amazing people.
I love that. So fear of cameras and then flexing the muscle, developing that muscle of communicating.
Well, and learning other people's stories and like, what are they experiencing? What are they going through? These are my people. These were high performance athletes. So I was interviewing former athletes, and I genuinely love the conversation. So it was like not only was I learning, how to be on camera and how to build relationships throughout my LinkedIn ecosystem and digitally, but also like, these were amazing human beings that I was just learning through their story and picking up like all of their mindset habits and what were they doing. And I enjoyed the process. It was a lot of fun.
It's authentic, right? So I'm curious about if you can talk a little bit about your athlete background.
Yeah.
And share with the folks listening.
Yeah. So I was a high level competitive gymnast. So I started gymnastics really, really, really young, excelled in the sport. And then as a young teenager, burnt out and transitioned out. So a lot of what I was talking about on the podcast or the live streams or whatever we want to call it was athlete transition. So that's an area of like deep interest and passion of mine, is like the notion of transitioning from being at your peak performance in one thing and having to start over in another thing. So that's, in a nutshell, my athlete background. The notable piece is that I was a gymnast very, very young. And so unlike, professional football players and basketball players, a lot of what I was experiencing was high performance sports at 10 years old, which is very different than other
very,
sports.
very different. Very different. So in that very young age and, coming to a point of burnout and needing to exit the sport.
Yeah.
What might be some of the core beliefs that the exit made you revisit?
So it's interesting because I use gymnastics to some degree. Like I was going through a lot at home. So gymnastics was an escape mechanism for me. And when my parents divorced, I transitioned out of the sport as well. So what I learned throughout the sport was probably more important as far as like a core skill set and belief than like transitioning out of the sport, because there's a loss of identity, right? So I spiraled, loss of identity, big challenges with substances and all sorts of hot mess express world of being a teenager. Luckily I experienced that very, very young, but like the notable piece was loss of identity. Is like my whole world was wrapped around that of me being a high level gymnast as a young kid, and leaving that of the sport was, who the heck am I? And like, I'm living in a world of chaos already, and trying to fight for that identity outside of the sport.
It's amazing how many parallels there are from child athlete transitioning from, peak and having this external validation, to executives. That we both work with, not the same person, with similar idea of, good. It's possible, right? It's but so successful and recognized in accolades, and there you are at the top, and then, oh, well, that's no more. Well, now what? Who am I without this title? Who am I without this external validation? And what happens next?
Well, and the people around you, like what people didn't understand is I was in the gym multiple hours a day, 6 days a week as like a young kid, like starting at, I think probably 7 or 8. Right. So what I grew up around was my teammates and my coaches and that of the sport, right? Like while other people were going and doing other things with their schools, I was at the gym. So what also is very notable is like the people around me, when you leave that of the sport, like it dramatically changes. Same things with executive leaders, right? Like there's this phenomenon that happens and I don't even know why it happens. Maybe somebody can drop a comment and just tell us why this happens. But like, why is it when we leave a job, it is so rare to stay in contact with the people that we worked with? Or like when we leave that of a sport, like our children leave that of a sports team that they're engaged in, like it's just like an automatic cutoff of that relationship. And I think that that's what I found in a lot of like very high level leaders that are either transitioning into entrepreneurship, retiring, or going to another role, is like, it's not just transitioning out of that and their entire, it's the relationships around them dramatically change. It's complicated.
It's definitely, it's a whole, definitely messy, and it's an ecosystem, right? It's a package deal oftentimes is what it ends up being. It's not just, very much so, it's not just moving from a position to position. It's also how you're perceived. And in the relationships that people sustain, they're now functioning differently within those relationships. So even if those relationships remain from before and after, they look different. Everything gets a makeover.
So I'm really curious from your perspective, because this is something that I experienced in going from more of a corporate setting, or like I transitioned out of like the corporate world with a small business. But that transition from corporate identity to entrepreneur identity, like it took me a long time to figure that piece out. And I think that that's not talked about very often, is like, we leave a specific role to start something new, and we have amazing expectations of like these people coming with us or what it actually is going to be. And like that transition is messy and complicated and changes over time. Have you experienced that as well, in going from like a traditional role into now your leadership role in your business?
Oh, yes. Very, very much so. It's funny because I'm getting getting like messages from my daughter to do something for her. It's funny. It's like right now, it's funny. It's like uncanny. The only time that she'll get in touch with something urgent is when I am not just recording, but live recording. So
that's great.
it's how the universe works. There's like a vibration. It's a frequency specifically reserved for teenagers who know.
You got to do what you got to do. That's the harmony in what we do. Like in entrepreneurship, it's the harmony.
Isn't it beautiful? So I'm going to be answering that in a moment. I'll be taking photographs of a homework and sending it over to her. And that's a wonderful segue into the answer. I love that you're bringing that up, and I love your question. There's a tremendous transition that I found, and I'm continuing to go through that transition. What I think after 25 years of corporate world, right, from enterprise like Fortune 100s, as well as startups, pre-exit, exit. There's a tremendous, what we don't often realize that's happening to us when we work in this world that's matrixed and multi-department, multi-function, is that we develop a certain persona, and we develop masks and shields, often unconsciously, that we end up wearing. Yep. And what ends up often happening when we step out of that externally imposed structure, and we now step into our world that we get to create as entrepreneurs, and we get to design from scratch. So it's an open field. And by the way, how terrifying can an open field be? It's a road wide open. No one is telling you where to go. Yeah. No one is telling you when something's due. No one's telling you what the deadlines are. How incredibly liberating. What a gift. And how terrifying could it be at the same time? And so there's a decoupling exercise that I'd been going through that I found was really interesting, of the masks and shields that I ended up wearing for so long. Where do they end and where do I begin?
Yep.
And how much of those have grown into my skin and become part of me? Is this now me, or is this not me? And so that deciphering between those and designing where I am and really feeling into what's most authentic and what I most want. It's a question, it's an inquiry that I continue to pose to myself, just as I do to anybody that I work with. Like, what do you truly want?
Yeah, it's hard to answer. And I think that authenticity is a journey. So authenticity is as you continue to unravel these components, you unlock new areas of opportunity of things that you're excited about. So meaning when you are forced to create in an unlimited space, right? Where as an entrepreneur, you're like, okay, well, what am I going to create? What am I going to bring to life? Authenticity can what you want to do, how you want to show up, how you want to bring that to life, the people that you want to collaborate and work with, that changes. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I think that as leaders, we are oftentimes told, figure out who you are and what do you want to do and what are you passionate about?
Wow.
It takes time. It's a journey. It's a commitment to that. And it's okay if it changes. If you want to create video content and then you decide you don't freaking like it, then great. Create something different. Or right. If there's a leadership program you've created and you don't like it, adjust it.
That's right. What you're talking about is a resilience. Yes. That's so important and the idea of wrapping your identity into your business. And if a program or an initiative isn't what you thought it would be, or you're changing course, there's a hardiness and a fortitude that's really, really important to develop in getting your ego out of it.
Yeah.
And looking at what I found is, well, what's serving? What is serving people? When I leave this earth, I answer my own questions over and over. When I'm at the end of this journey and I look back on my life, what do I want to have created? What do I want to have shifted for people?
Yeah.
What
and
matters?
Who do I want to serve? I am not the right person for every single person. And, we're told, especially in enterprise sales, prospect, find areas of opportunity. And it's in entrepreneurship, I don't want to serve every single person. Can I help in some way? Maybe. But we also have that opportunity to serve people in which we believe.
Yeah. And if that's what you try to do. Ooh. Can you hear me?
I can. And now you're back. We're back.
Can you hear me? Awesome. Oh. Yeah, I think you can't be for everyone. And if you try to be for everyone, you're and you're watering down and you're really being, you really let yourself call it your own thing. If you really let yourself out, um, and say what you really want to say in a way that you really want to say it, that you mean it with an urgency, like a burning desire. What is that burning desire and a connection to it? It kind of lights you up, and the rest can happen organically. I feel like it becomes a place of it's a beautiful place to create from.
Yeah. It takes time to get to that point, though. Like at least it's taken me time to get to that point.
Yes, it does.
And it's a shift. It's a mindset shift from what I've found with being in the corporate landscape.
So what's the point? So where are you today with the mind shift?
So I'm in the mindset shift of like, I can't serve everybody. Like I am who I am, and I have a very unique skill set. That skill set translates to the business in which I've created, which I'm proud of and I'm excited for. And I'm not here to please everybody, right? Like I'm here to deliver amazing results for my client base. And I'm here to shift certain things, meaning the work that I do. Like I'm here to help people build sustained credibility and authentic influence. Like that's what I'm here to do. And that takes a lot of different types of forms. And I think the big unlock this year is like, I'm not here to serve every single person. And that's okay. Like that's okay. How can I make sure to get the right message to the right people and help them in their journeys in the most?
That's very much okay.
I am so losing you. Like we're losing you.
Are you losing me?
Yes.
Oh no.
You're choppy.
How about now?
Let's see.
Am I choppy now? It's interesting because my computer's doing some interesting things behind the scenes, and I've shut off everything. Isn't that life? You just roll with it and see what happens.
Yeah, it's live.
How about now?
You're good. You're better now.
Can you hear me now? It's like the old Verizon commercial.
Yes, like that's like the Zoom like bingo card is like, can you hear me now? Like it's like
I think it's can you hear me now and you're on mute. I think those two, and I'm pretty sure they make mugs for both.
I'm sure if they don't, then we can probably do that for them. We can make mugs for whoever needs a mug that says that. What about you? Where have you landed? Like I've been in my entrepreneurial journey for over 5 years, I think now. So like I've had a little bit of the entrepreneurship roller coaster ride from hell. We've been there. We've done that. It's the ebb and flow, right? So where are you at in your entrepreneurial journey, and what are you excited about?
It's now 4 years since I started my LLC. 2 years since I've been entirely on my own and solely focused on Highline leadership. And the decoupling, it's a journey in progress. I'm excited about my framework. I have a few, but one of them you introduced and you got to hear. And that was born out of battle bruises and wounds and real life experiences. And so more of that. I'm excited to get it out to people. I'm excited to get it to more people and even people who are earlier on in their career. So my focus has been and continues to be working with senior folks. And what's so compelling to me about that is if you can make a difference in the trajectory and in their life and in their focus and in their leadership, an 8% change, the trickle down effect to thousands and thousands of people is tremendous and undeniable. And it's usually more than 8% change. And so those shifts that happen, the goodness that's created is really inspiring. Also being able to reach now people earlier on in their journey is incredibly it's inspiring and it gives me hope. So creating like a sturdiness and a self-awareness in emerging leaders as they come up, helping people really unearth their strengths, their goodness, and really reel their ego in and see their ego and figure out what they want to do with that ego is so important. Because we all have an ego. And being willing to see how we get in our own way, being willing to see what we might want to change and shift. Right. And adaptability is key. And being, humble enough to recognize where we are, what role we play, what responsibility and what accountability to take it's incredible. So I'm excited to put what matters out in the world and continue to do that in different modalities. It's like, I pinch myself. I can't believe I get to do what I do.
Same. And I get excited. I've got TEDx Old Hickory coming up. So I get to see my speakers deliver their ideas and their messages, which is on the 25th. If you're based in Nashville, come and join. It's amazing. But there's something really special in collaborating with people that are deeply passionate and aware of like what they are looking to bring into the world in a meaningful way and what that can actually do to drive results for the individual leaders or their businesses. To your point, like it can just be micro shifts, right? Like micro shifts in a way that you're communicating, positioning information, speaking about certain things, micro knowledge about yourself, like how can I be more effective in conflict resolution or whatever it may be. Those micro shifts can make a significant difference. And so like my plea is always like for organizations that are looking to hire resources and talent, like find amazing people that you may not be able to understand like how they exactly fit into the box, but like hire them because they're going to look outside of the box, maybe see some areas of opportunity and like just get them engaged in the slightest of capacities for the business. It's really powerful when people work with creative entrepreneurs that have a unique skill set that can drive something within the organization, even when there's not like this hard result, like hard ROI. Like, yes, a lot of the work that people do is like directly tied to some of that stuff, but it doesn't always have to be. And those micro shifts that can be made with individual leaders or teams or even companies, like it can make a substantial difference in the overall business.
Substantial. I mean, we're living proof, right? Our clients are living proof. Absolutely. And I love the point that you're making to organizations when they're making hiring decisions. It's be brave and venture out because that fresh perspective of someone who's been out there, someone who has skinned their knees and put themselves wholly out there. What they have learned, the lessons that they're holding are tremendously valuable to an organization.
100%. Right?
Like having gone on your own and done this, what you know now that you wouldn't have known if you didn't change course, if you didn't take matters into your own hands. And there was a ladder and you could have kept climbing it. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with continuing to climb it. But you chose something that's less conventional.
I've been around some incredibly successful leaders, amazing human beings in all walks of life, athletes, entrepreneurs, corporate executives, global leaders, whatever it may be. Their ability to react quickly to overcome failure is one of the most powerful things that they can unlock. And oftentimes in a corporate setting, like failure is something that is negatively looked at. Whereas like failure is just simply part of the process in my lives. Like something doesn't go well, great. Let's see what didn't go well. Let's overcome that challenge. Let's move forward. And like, oh, you're presenting information in this way. That didn't work well. Great. So like failure I think in our world is simply part of the process. The most successful people, in my opinion, fail quickly and they overcome the emotional attachment associated to failure.
That's beautiful.
But that's not something that's oftentimes like trained in a corporate setting, right? Like we don't want to fail, right? We want things to be based on XYZ process. Like risk mitigation is really important. But like one of the skills that we've learned is like how to overcome failure quickly and see it as an area of opportunity to be able to pivot quickly. And that's really a powerful skill that oftentimes doesn't get unlocked in the traditional, in quotations, business ecosystem. sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't. That's a beautiful point that you made. I love that you bring that in, right? It's the willingness to try and try again, and the resilience, right? If we're talking about the skill set, it's the resilience to get back up and not even to look at it as being knocked down. It's data. It's data. Congratulations. You just learned one of the things that won't work, one of the approaches that won't be effective. Congratulations. That's a great insight.
That's great. And we skin our knees, like we take a couple of bruises, we get punched in the face regularly. Like that's just part of this. And seeking joy in that process is also another skill set, right? It's like I think you titled this like, instant gratification. Like we want immediate, massive results, but like part of the process, and this is the gymnastics background, is like you can't elevate a skill until you get the other skill done pretty well enough to where you can build from that skill and you don't like really hurt yourself. So like this relationship between putting in the reps, like you have to put in the reps. Yes, you can level up with collaborating with other people, getting coaching, getting consulting, but like you as an individual human being, like part of the process is getting in the reps. And I can guarantee you, there is not a single gymnast on this planet that has not fallen off the balance beam a million times to get to the result in what you're actually seeing them do. Like it just doesn't exist. Simone Biles falls. Like that's part of that athlete resilience that you mentioned. It's powerful, and it's how can you incorporate some of this stuff up into your humanity to become a better leader, to become a more effective communicator, like all the things. It's just part of the process.
And how do you bring that resilience into all of you?
When it's not easy, like none of this is easy. Like you mentioned, like your daughter sending you or your child sending you messages, like I really don't believe in work-life balance. Like there is a work-life harmony that has to happen where you're constantly like balancing all of these things. And like, we don't live in a perfect world. We don't live in, a perfect calendar schedule. Like harmony is what I try to seek in this type of ecosystem. And to your point, like sometimes it works.
And sometimes it doesn't.
It doesn't.
I mean, sometimes it doesn't. Like this is me taking a homework and taking photos. It's really funny. I'm not even kidding. It's 1 and a 2 and a, yeah, it's funny, right?
That's root. Like that's reality. That's truth.
There's no one else to do it. It's got to be done.
And that's beautiful. Like it's beautiful.
It's motherhood. And I think it's an integration, right? I think it's a work-life integration of, it's all of it included.
Yeah.
So yeah, there it is. And I just sent it, and I did it live and I talked about it.
Well, but these are the things that people oftentimes don't see, right? Like this is the reality. Like
it's the behind the scenes, right? But this is the behind the scenes of, of having a teenager, and also, maybe part of it is, being a single parent, and like this isn't something being outsourced. Can't be. So there it is. And it's okay. And now she'll have her homework. And the permission, how much difference I am observing in the working world today, but also how powerful it is, in being a business owner and defining how much space we give to being a parent, right? When I started in the corporate world, like back in the day, back when we were kids, like you had to sort of hide.
Yeah.
As a parent, had to sort of hide and deflect from childcare responsibilities. And what we see today and gets more light, and it has stepped out of shame that it shouldn't have ever had, is every one of us is a miracle. Every one of us. I think I said this to one of my bosses who wasn't very understanding about me needing to leave at 5:30 instead of like 8, 9 o'clock. for one of my kids, pediatrician appointments. I said, the fact that your socks match, you're wearing clean underwear, and you went to business school and you have this title. I was like, all of that happened because somebody somewhere along the way thought that you matter and paid attention to you and fed you and listened to things that you had to say, made sure you did your homework, made sure you had your vaccinations and your doctor appointments. Here's me doing that for someone else. This is what it looks like. This is what I look like standing up and walking to address something for my daughter.
I see everything from a perspective of learning. Like this is how I live my life, is like, what am I learning from this experience? And there's two things that have taught me more than anything combined. One is entrepreneurship. I'm going to tell you, I learned a lot that whole experience is like, that's a lot. The second piece is being a mom, is through the lens of my daughter, watching her become a good leader, watching her lead with kindness and compassion, and watching her be in this crazy technology-oriented world and try to manage it. I learn more leadership development tools for the toolbox through the lens of parenting her than you could possibly imagine. And right now, what I'm really thinking through is like burnout. Not necessarily just burnout in a professional sense, but like we as human beings, we have all of this stuff going on. Like I am watching how school education, which translates in my world to work and Zoom calls and all of that stuff, like how that actually plays out in our lives and how we're being conditioned to overwork regularly. And it's not just overwork from a business perspective, but like every text message you get, every phone call you get, every distraction that takes you into some type of device, like what is that doing to cause overwork and burnout? It's dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to witness that, unfortunately, through the lens of my child, good, bad, and different, like a lot of the leadership development that I am going through and learning is amazingly through either entrepreneurship or my child.
Yep. 100%. Kids are an incredible lesson. I love that you bring that in. I love the parallels that you draw.
Thanks.
It's humbling.
Yeah. And like, quite frankly, I want to raise a child that is deeply compassionate towards others and kind towards other people. Like, and if I'm going to do that, then I have to learn how to be that for myself and to myself and for others. And so having, I mean, it's hard. Parenting is hard. It's just hard. Parenting is hard. Entrepreneurship life is hard. It's all hard.
They're sort of mirrors, right? They're both, that's interesting. The parenting and the entrepreneurship, they're reflections of all your development points, all your spiky, hairy points to work through and look at.
Yeah.
And if there's something that you're not facing, there it is. Right.
Well, the entrepreneurship, you can see it as the mirror. The parenting is you will hear it. So it's not just looking at it. It's like the direct reflection of where all of the like good, the bad, the ugly, like, because transparency in our family life is really important. So what I preach is what I receive. And sometimes I hear feedback that can be very challenging, but it's great.
It's with love.
Mostly. Or because they need something.
Or because they need something. That's right. Isn't that how it is?
It's part of it.
So I'm thinking about, what we might want to leave our folks. I could talk to you for hours. Mm-hmm. For this part one of our live, what might be something that we're leaving the viewers with if we're, from the lens of sustainability?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what's real, what's true. Yeah.
I think that getting to that root of authenticity, like what that means to you right now, where you're at in your own journey, and recognizing that it is a committed journey in which you're kind of peeling apart the onion over time. I think that's really important to leave with, is like, these hard questions. Who are you? What are you passionate about? What do you actually want to be doing? What are you being told to do, yet you've got to figure out how to bring your best, most authentic self? Like, that took time for me, and it is okay for it to take time. You don't have to have answers to all of these difficult questions, and the answers will change over time, and that is okay.
So give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace.
You're a human being.
And space to create and have fun and find joy and send homework when it's needed. Like, we are human beings, not robots.
Grace, space, and fun.
Grace, space, and fun. And restroom conversations.
That was awesome. That was perfect. It was the most perfect way, because it was very human.
Hey, you can find relationships anywhere.
Anywhere. I mean, thankfully it was by the sink area.
It was by the sink area. We were both on our way out. Like, we were crunched on time. This was not just some random like scenario, but
it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Oh, I'm so glad you came on. Thank you for joining me. It's such a pleasure.
I'm so grateful to be here, and I look forward to many more conversations, both on camera and off camera. But I'm grateful for you.
Me too. You're a yes.
You're a yes. You're a yes. I like yes people.
Amen. See you soon.